Deep into the eyes, read them like a book. Trapped inside a prison, gotta free them like a crook. Make off with the loot, made off for the joke. Treated like these cowards never needed what we took, and we repeat it like a hook. Caught in the deep, come back like Wheezy. Card 3, sensation. Wait, then pause the beat. Eyes don't lie, truth still hard to see. They're begging me to show them, they're saying that I owe them, but I'll never give it up. Not for you, not for no one. Foreign ride, touring, soaring, open road, exploring.
Yeah, welcome to the show. This is Smoke the Competition. Yo, I'm your host, Eric Sojash. Thank you for checking us out. It's NFL Week 8. Can't wait to jump in. We're going to break down every matchup, let you know who you should start and who you should sit. That's what we do here on Smoke the Competition. I give you fantasy football tips, let you know what I'm doing in my leagues, let you know how to beat your competition. Please pause the video here. Just take a second. Subscribe to the channel. It's greatly appreciated. You could also give us a follow on Twitter at Sojash Sports. Without further ado, can't wait to jump into NFL Week 8. Already gave you some tips on the Thursday night matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Rams. Congrats to the Rams with the return of Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. They dominated. I had some hits in that game. Definitely the obvious ones were Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp. I definitely got you guys to start Puka Nacua in his return, and he absolutely smashed, as well as Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold. So we're off to a pretty good start in fantasy land. Without further ado, let's jump into the rest of the games here for Sunday and Monday, NFL Week 8. It's start sit. It's NFL. This is Smoke the Competition. I'm Eric Sojash. Let's go. All right, first things first, we're going to break down the lingo here, let you guys know exactly how things are discussed on Smoke the Competition. If I set a player up as a must start, that's an absolute smash. That's a must start. That's a top 12 play. Get him in your lineups. Don't think twice about it. If I say a player is a hero start, now that's more of your boom or bust. That's a player that I believe can exceed expectations or can bust. One of those players that, you could take a swing on him, but he can sink you, or he can take you all the way to the championship. In terms of a floor start, now that's exactly how it sounds. It's a player that I believe has a very safe floor, but there's not a high ceiling. Some of those players that are going to get you, 6 to 8 points a week, get you them safe points. They won't completely bust, but they definitely won't blow up for you. And then a risky start is exactly what it sounds like. A player that's too risky to start, you put them in your lineups, they could cost you the W. You keep them in for too long, they can cost you the season. All right, first game we're looking at here is between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cincinnati Bengals. This game will be played in Cincinnati. We got Jalen Hurts as a must start. We know with the tush push and his running ability, he's an absolute must start every week. Saquon Barkley tearing it up, second best running back in fantasy right now behind Derrick Henry. He's an easy must start. A.J. Brown back from injury, picked up right where he left off. Absolute stud, must start. Devontae Smith coming off a huge stinker. He got one catch for -2 yards, just absolutely killed fantasy teams. He is a hero start this week. I'm moving him down a notch. He's a boom or bust option. I think he's more likely to boom though. And Dallas Goedert still dealing with that injury. He is an injury risk. I believe he is a risky start if he does play. Keep him on the bench. For those Bengals, we got Joe Burrow, Joe Cool as an absolute must start. He's the quarterback 5 on the season. He will definitely finish right there in the top 5. Chase Brown, great play here. He's been, taking over this backfield the last few weeks. Tough to run against the Eagles in the red zone. Hard to score running touchdowns on him, but he can pop a big run. I see him as a floor start. On the contrary, his running mate, Zach Moss, I see him as a risky start. Like I said, hard to score touchdowns against the Eagles, and without getting touchdowns, he hasn't been very productive. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, easy plays, absolute smash starts. And then at the tight end position, no matter which tight end you're looking at for Cincinnati, I keep him on the bench. If Mike Gesicki's the guy you have, you keep him on the bench. I see him as a risky start. Hopping over to those Baltimore Ravens, they'll be taking on the Cleveland Browns. Man, Baltimore is the number one offense in all of football right now. They're absolutely killing it. Lamar Jackson, the number one player in all of fantasy, he's absolutely killing it. That's a must start. Easy to do that. Derrick Henry, same thing. Absolute smash start. Zay Flowers, target monster. PPR formats. He's a smash start this week. Even though they're going against a pretty good secondary, they love to play man-to-man. Zay Flowers will get his targets. Rashad Bateman, that's a hero star here. He is a boom or bust this week. More likely to boom. He's catching a lot of big-time passes, making them into touchdowns. Him and Lamar are connecting a lot more. We're getting exactly what we always wanted out of Rashad Bateman this year. Now Mark Andrews back on the scene. I see him as a hero start. He's boom bust. But in that tight end position, he's more of a must start. Tight end is very volatile. He's been hot the last couple weeks. Just ride that hot wave. And on the contrary, Isaiah Likely's been cold. Keep him on the bench. He's a risky start heading into this week. For those Cleveland Brownies, the Cleveland Browns, we got Jameis Winston making his debut. Big Winston fan, cheering for the guy. He's hilarious, but in fantasy football, I'm not going in that place. He is definitely a risky start this week. Even though Baltimore has given up a lot of yards, I think Winston's too risky, too many turnovers. He's had a lot in the past, and this offense isn't exactly dominant, so he's a risky start. Nick Chubb, what a special story. He's having his second game. I think he's going to get ramped up. He's a floor start this week for me. And the same thing with Cedric Tillman. I think he's going to get a lot of targets. That's another floor start. Jerry Jeudy, it's too risky for me. I got to see a little bit more. There is potential there. You might want to stash Jeudy and see if he has a connection with Jameis in the future. And then David Njoku, I think he is a top 5 tight end play. He is a must start. Get him in your lineups. Don't worry about Njoku. He's going to get his targets, and he's been turning those into absolutely great production. Next up, we're looking at the Tennessee Titans going over to Detroit, taking on those Detroit Lions, flying high. I don't like what's going on in Tennessee. The offense is struggling. For that reason, I'm going to have a lot of sits here, starting with quarterback. Doesn't matter who plays, Rudolph or Will Levis. That is a risky start. At running back, Tony Pollard, the only bright spot in this offense. I see him as a must start. They will be funneling all the offense through him. He's been producing at a decent level. Even though this is a hardcore run D he's going against, he's definitely the best offensive player. Now they've gotten rid of DeAndre Hopkins, so a lot of running, not a lot of throwing is what I'm seeing. Tajay Spears, risky start, dealing with an injury. Tyler Boyd, risky start. Calvin Ridley, risky start. Chigakonko, risky start. Just keep most of these guys on your bench, except for Tony Pollard, and you'll be all right. For Detroit, we got quarterback Jared Goff as a floor start this week. I don't think he's going to need to do a lot of throwing. He probably will cash in early in the first half, but outside of that, he probably won't need to do a lot of throwing, so I have him as a floor start. The rest of these guys, we know they're studs. This offense is clicking. Dave Montgomery, if he plays from that injury, he's a smash start. Get him in there. Jahmyr Gibbs, absolute must start. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the slot monster, get him in there. Absolute must start. Jameson Williams, sorry, I got to have to remove him. He is not going to be playing. He's suspended, so you could just ignore that. I'll put that as an NA. And Sam Laporta, I think he's going to get a boost here, especially with no Williams, so look at him as a must start. All right, next up, we got Arizona taking on the Miami Dolphins in Miami. I think this is going to be a shootout with the return of Tua. For that reason, I got Kyler Murray as a must start. Now, Miami's secondary is really good. They're going to be really hard to throw on, but Kyler's running ability keeps him in must start territory. James Conner's also a must start. Running back's been killing it for Arizona. They lean on his game. They're not really using the other running back, so he remains a must start. For pass catchers, I am worried about Marvin Harrison Jr., but we got to roll him out there. He's too talented. He is a hero start, boom or bust this week. Michael Wilson and the rest of those pass catchers are risky starts. Keep him on the bench. And tight end Trey McBride, he is a must start. Get him in your lineups and roll away with Trey. As for those Miami Dolphins, with the return of Tua, as I mentioned, I'm throwing him in the lineups if I don't have a better option. I see him as a hero start, boom or bust, more likely to boom than bust. I think Tua, as long as he stays healthy in these matchups, he's going to be a pretty good play with a safe floor. Devon Achane, I got him in must-start territory. Plug him in your lineups. He should have a big game. On the contrary, I think where he most start is a floor start. I don't see him having a big upside, but he might have a good floor in this game. Tyreek Hill, throw him in. Absolute must start. Can't wait to see him blow up, catch one of those big 50, 60, 70-yard touchdowns. Same thing with Jalen Waddle. Fire him up. He's an absolute must start. Outside of those two, I think Jonnu Smith is a risky start this week. He did have a pretty good matchup last week. He was able to score, but I won't throw him in there. I think this is a wide receiver running back game. Put Johnny on the bench. He's a risky start. Next up, we got the New York Jets taking on the New England Patriots. Should be a good battle here. AFC East showdown. Jets got to win this one, or else they're going to blow that up more than they already have. We got Devontae Adams coming over to the Jets, and for that reason, I like Aaron Rodgers as a hero start, especially if you're struggling at QB with some injuries. I'd plug him in as a hero start. I think he'll have a pretty good game. Boom or bust. I think he's more likely to boom. At running back, Breece Hall, you know what it is with him. Play him. He's a must start. Devontae Adams, get him in your lineups too. I think this is a good game for him. He's a must start. Same thing with Garrett Wilson. This offense should click. He's a must start. Alan Lazar, I see him risky this week. I see him more as a floor start. And then Tyler Conklin, definitely a risky start. Keep him on your benches. I wouldn't run Tyler out there. All right, for those New England Patriots, we got QB Drake May as a risky start. Definitely like him as a stash, but you can't play him in this matchup. Keep him on your benches. Running back Ramondre Stevenson, I have him as a floor start this week. He'll get a lot of work. hard. Hopefully, he can fall in the end zone. If not, like I said, he is going to be a floor start because of the workload. At wide receiver, I'm going to be benching all these guys. Pop Douglas, Jalen Polk, definitely risky starts. Pop with more upside, especially in better matchups moving forward, but the Jets secondary is not a good matchup. Last but not least, Hunter Henry. I got him as a sleeper this week. You can definitely play Hunter Henry if you don't have a better option. I think he is the only option in this passing game that you can rely on. I love his connection with Drake May. He's a great play, great sleeper this week, and a sleeper moving forward. All right, hopping over to the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is an NFC South showdown. Last time Kirk Cousins and his Falcons took on the Bucs, he went absolutely bananas. For that reason, I got Cousins as a must start. Same thing with Bijan Robinson. That's an obvious must start. Tyler Algier, I see him as a risky start this week. He's more of a stash play right now. At wide receiver, Drake London, he's been killing it all season. He's a must start. Darnell Mooney, the moonshot. I see him as a hero start, boom or bust this week. And at tight end, Kyle Pitts, he's been really reliable. Actually, with a safe floor, I see him as a must start. Plug him in and feel confident about it. All right, for Tampa Bay, man, they're dealing with a lot of bad injuries here. Big time players are missing. For that reason, Baker Mayfield takes a step down. He's going to be a floor start this week. Both of the running backs, Bucky Irving and Rashad White, same thing. I see them as a floor start this week. At wide receiver, we got the rookie. He's going to have to take a big step up now with the missing of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So McMillan, I see as a hero start, boom or bust. Big chance he could bust. Big chance he could also boom. Baker has a talent, so does McMillan. Let's see if they can get clicking early. And then at tight end, K. Otten, man, ride that cotton wave. K. Otten, he's been doing his thing. I think he is a must start. Get him in your lineups. I think he'll be a good play in week 8. Next up, we got a battle of two young quarterbacks heading in opposite directions. We got the Green Bay Packers taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. For Green Bay, I got a whole lot of must starts here. It's not too complicated. Green Bay's got a lot of talent on offense. Jordan Love, fire him up. He's a must start. Josh Jacobs, fire him up. That's another must start. Jaden Reed, one of the top receivers in the NFL right now in fantasy football, fire him up. If he's healthy, he's a must start. Romeo Dubs, one of my biggest risers of the week, all the way up to wide receiver 38, I believe. He was sitting in the 60s before, and I think he'll keep rising. Put him in as a must start. First time I have him ranked there. Dontavian Wicks, he's more of a hero start. Him and Christian Watson are splitting time. I see them both kind of in similar roles, but I do bump Dontavius over Christian. He's more of the hero start. You could take a swing at him, boom or bust. And then tight end Tucker Craft. I see him as a must start. Plug and play him. He has a good chance to score a touchdown. For those Jacksonville Jaguars, it's been a struggle. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to continue to struggle. He is a risky start. Keep him on your benches. Same thing with Travis Etienne. Continue to struggle. Keep him on your benches. He's a risky start. Now, I'm one of the few that's going to play Tank Bigsby here as a must start. I think he has a good chance to score a touchdown. As soon as they get in the red zone, he's been pretty reliable. Plug him in as a must start. At wide receiver, same thing with Brian Thomas Jr. Tough matchup, but the kid has so much talent. You can't bench him. He's a must start. Feel the opposite way about Christian Kirk. Not liking his season so far. I see him as a risky play this week. He is a risky start. And then the opposite I feel about tight end Evan Ingram. He's been getting targets galore. Get him in your lineups. Trevor Lawrence loves to throw to him. Regardless if they score a lot of points or a little, he's going to get his share of targets. So plug him in, especially in PPR formats. He's an absolute must start. In this AFC South showdown, we got the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Houston Texans. I'm going to breeze through this one. Indy is in dire need of a new quarterback or a huge advancement of Anthony Richardson. Because of his poor play, everyone's struggling. Because of Jonathan Taylor's injury, they're struggling even more. So I pretty much got all these guys as risky starts. I'm not willing to play really anyone on this side of the ball right now. If Jonathan Taylor comes back, I'd plug him in. Outside of that, this entire offense is a risky play. On the Texans side, I do see CJ Stroud as a floor start. He should bounce back this week. He could put up some big numbers, but he could also get a lead, rely on Joe Mixon, and not need to throw as much as we'd like. So I do see him as a floor start this week. Joe Mixon, as I just mentioned, I see him as a must start. Plug him in your lineups. They'll use him. He should have a big game. At wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, he's been pretty reliable, especially in PPR formats. He's a must start for me. On the flip side, Tank Dell, man, it's been such a hard season to play Tank Dell. I had so much hope for him, especially now that Nico's out of the lineup. You'd think Tank would go off, but he hasn't done it consistently. For that reason, I see him as a boom or bust hero start this week. Last but not least, we got Dalton Schultz. This week, I see him more as a risky start. I'd keep him on my benches and look elsewhere. All right, moving along, we got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. This matchup, we got some quarterback injuries. Spencer Rattler is going to be starting for the Saints. Don't like that too much for fantasy football. He's a risky start. Keep him on your bench. Running back Alvin Kamara has been struggling since they've lost, some of their key players, but he does get a lot of volume. He will be a floor start for me. Same thing with Chris Olave. He'll be returning from concussion. I see him as a floor start just based on the volume he'll receive. All the other receivers I see as risky starts in this offense. At tight end, I think Taysom Hill, now he's going to make his return. I see him as a sneaky sleeper. He might be able to get you a rushing touchdown. For the Chargers, another sleeper here. I like Justin Herbert. If you're looking for a quarterback, one of your quarterbacks are injured. Herbert in this matchup, I see as a sleeper start with a good floor. J.K. Dobbins, I see him as a must start. Plug and play him in your lineups. Lad McConkey, I like him as a floor, especially in PPR formats. Now, he doesn't seem to have that big breakout, that big ceiling capability, but his floor is very safe. Quentin Jefferson, don't like him right now. Quentin Johnston, I'm not liking him right now. Keep him on your benches as a risky start. And Will Dissly, he blew up last week, made a bunch of catches, a bunch of yards, but that's still too volatile for me. Keep him on your bench. He's a risky start. One of the funner matchups I'm looking forward to is Buffalo Bills traveling west to take on the Seattle Seahawks. This matchup, I definitely love Josh Allen here. He's an easy must start. Running back James Cook, once again, he is a must start. He's been cooking all season when he's healthy. At wide receiver, we got Keon Coleman. He's been flashing. Now that they've made some changes, I see him as a hero start. He can boom or bust in this matchup. Now they got new wide receiver Amari Cooper. I like his combination, his connection with Josh Allen. It's only going to grow. He's a must start. And then Khalil Shakir, I think he takes a little bit of a step back, but he's got a nice floor. I see him as a floor start, especially in PPR formats. Same thing with Dalton Kincaid. I think he loses a bit of his target share, but he does have a good floor. He is a good floor start for week 8. And for those Seattle Seahawks, we got Geno Smith. He is a must start. He'll be having to throw the ball a lot, even though Buffalo's got a great defense. I think he'll be able to get a decent amount of success to be a must start. Kenneth Walker, absolute superstar running back in the making. Plug him in if he's healthy. He is a must start smash play. His backup, Zach Charbonnet, unfortunately, you can't play both of them. He's a risky start. Keep him on your benches. Tyler Lockett, with no DK Metcalf this week, I like Tyler Lockett as a must start. And I like Jackson Smith in Jigba as a floor start. And then moving over to tight end Noah Fant, I think he's a little too risky here. Keep him on your benches. He's a risky start in week 8. Next up, we got Carolina taking on Denver Broncos. This is definitely the worst matchup for fantasy football. We're just going to flash through this one. Carolina has no fantasy viable players, really. The quarterback, Bryce Young, keep him on your bench. Running back Chuba Hubbard with this offense, with him going against this stout defense, he's going to be a floor start for me. That's about as high as I can rank him. The rest of the team, the wide receivers, tight ends, absolute risky starts. Keep them all on your bench and go find your fantasy production somewhere else. All right, on the Denver side, it's not looking much better, but I do like Bo Nix as a sleeper start this week. I do like his running ability. I think Denver should have a good chance to dominate this game. So plug him in as a sleeper start. Javonte Williams, he's picked it up a lot the last couple weeks. He's a definite must start. Outside of those two, I'm not really picking up any Denver players to play in fantasy football in this week. If you have to, good luck to you. Somebody will catch a touchdown. I'm just not sure who it's going to be. So Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Dulcich, the rest of this offense, you guys are all risky starts for me. I'm keeping you on all benches. Next up, we got an AFC West showdown. Kansas City and those Raiders. I love Mahomes here as a hero start. Boom or bust. Definitely more likely to boom. I know he's got revenge on the mind. All that Kermit the Frog talk. At running back, we got Kareem Hunt coming off a 2-touchdown game. He's a must start. Plug him in. And we got a new wide receiver acquisition, DeAndre Hopkins. His first game with the Chiefs. I like him as a boom or bust hero start here. I think they'll have a nice little package for him to get him involved. Xavier Worthy, I see him as more of a floor start here. Now he could have a big play or two, but I do think they're going to be trying to use him more in the screen game, sweep game. Use him a little bit more, get the ball in his hands. So I like him to have a lot of target share and be a good floor start. And then Travis Kelce, I know it's been hard, but this is the week he's going to have a nice big game. Plug him in. He's an absolute must start. And on the Raiders side, not much to see over here. They've just been losing talent or just not producing whatsoever. At quarterback, I think it's going to be Gardner Minshew. He's risky. Keep him on your benches. Kansas City has one of the best defenses in the entire league. Running back Zamir White, same thing, same old story. Keep him on your bench. Risky start. Alexander Madison, he does get involved in the passing game. Gardner Minshew's best skill right now is just dumping the ball off. So I do see him as a floor start. You might be able to play him. Jacoby Myers, this is another floor start, but this one has a lot of risk to it. He is their best receiver. He is their number one option in the receiving game, but I do see him as a floor start this week. Trey Tucker, I'm not going there. I see him as a risky start. But Brock Bowers, man, this guy's killing it. We knew he was a special tight end. He's showing it week in and week out, even with no help around him. He's an absolute must start. Plug him in, and that's the only Raider you can really trust. All right, one of the big games that we all been waiting for is supposed to be the battle of two rookie sensation quarterbacks. Unfortunately, Jane Daniels probably going to miss this game. But on Chicago's side, we got Caleb Williams as a hero start here. I think he can boom or bust. More likely boom in this game. I wouldn't be too scared to play him. Washington's defense has been picking up lately, but they're not stout all around. So I think he will have a good game coming off a bye week. Running back DeAndre Swift, I see him as a floor start. They found a little bit of rhythm. I don't think this is a game for him to absolutely go off in, but I do see him as a nice floor start. Wide receiver DJ Moore, that is a must start. Plug and play him. Don't worry about it. Roma Dunze, the rookie, has started slow. They might find something for him coming off the bye week, but until I see it, I'm keeping him on my benches. He's a risky start. Keenan Allen, I like him in this game. He's a sleeper start. And then tight end Cole Kmet, he's got a nice little thing going on, especially in the red zone. Plug him in. He is an absolute must start. And for those Washington Commanders, with no Jaden Daniels, things are going to be a little different. I got Marcus Mariota here as a risky start. I'd probably keep him on my benches going against the Chicago Bears defense. At running back, Brian Robinson Jr., they're going to lean heavily on the running game, I believe, and that is the best way to move the ball without Jaden Daniels. So I think he's going to be a must start in this game. Austin Eckler on the flip side, I think he's a little bit more volatile. He'll be a little bit riskier. He relies on the passing game. Marcus Mariota does not dump the ball off a lot to the running back, so he's risky to me. Wide receiver Terry McLaurin, he's more of a boom and bust play. I think he does have a chance to boom, but it is a little bit of a risk, so he's a hero start for me. The other wide receivers, they're all risky starts. Keep them on your benches. And tight end Zach Ertz, this week I see him more as a floor start. He might catch 3 or 4 passes, but the yardage is not going to be huge, and it's going to be tough for him to score a touchdown, so I think he is a floor start. All right, wrapping up week 8 Sunday Night Football. We got Dallas traveling to San Francisco. This should be a fantastic game. Old rivalry, new rivalry renewed. San Francisco's had Dallas's number lately. For fantasy purposes, on the Dallas side, I got Dak Prescott as a floor start. I think he's going to have to throw the ball a ton to even remain in this game. For that reason, I think he's going to have a decent amount of opportunity to put up points. He's a floor start for me. Rico Dowdle, I have him as a floor start as well. I think he's going to have to be relied upon. They're not using Zeke. He hasn't been producing, so Rico's should be the number one guy here with a good floor. CeeDee Lamb, he's an absolute must start week in and week out. Jalen Tolbert, keep him on your benches. He's a risky start for me going against this really good San Fran defense. And Jake Ferguson, they're going to have to use this guy. He's going to have to come through. I like him as a top 10 tight end this week. He's a must start. All right, for San Francisco, looks like Brock Purdy. He should be a floor start for me this week. Floor start with upside. Now, the reason I'm not going full must start on him is because of the banged up wide receiver room. No Brandon Ayuk for the rest of the season. We're not 100% sure if Debo's going to play and if he's going to have a full snap count share. So for that reason, we got to bump Brock down a little bit. He's a floor start. At running back, Jordan Mason, they're going to have to rely on him. Dallas has a horrible run defense, so he is an absolute smash play this week. He's a must start. Don't worry about him. Don't even think twice. And then Debo Samuel, if he does play, get him in your lineups. He's a must start at wide receiver with no Brandon Ayuk for the rest of the season. That's a huge bump up for Juwan Jennings. Get him in your lineup. I like him as a sleeper start this week. You can even play Ricky Pearsall in deeper leagues, 14 or 16 team leagues. I like him as a deep sleeper. Otherwise, Ricky's a stash right now. And tight end George Kittle, number one tight end in football. Plug him in. He's an absolute must start as long as he's in the lineup. Last but not least, we're talking Monday Night Football. We got the New York Giants taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not a high-scoring game, not a lot of big football fantasy relevance in this game, so we'll just power through here. On the Giants side, a lot of risky starts. QB Daniel Jones, keep him on the benches, keep him in free agencies. Running back Devin Singletary, keep him on the benches, risky start. Same thing with Tyrone Tracy. Now, I do like Tyrone's upside. He's a definite great stash, but for this week against this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, you got to keep him on the bench. Our guy Malik Neighbors, superstar stud, he is a must start. Hopefully he bounces back. Either way, you plug and play him and hope for the upside there. He's got too much talent to overlook. And Wan'Dale Robinson, he's been getting a ton of targets. He is a floor start in PPR formats. You can look at playing him in week 8. On the Pittsburgh side, this is a little bit of a volatile offense, not one that I totally trust personally. At quarterback, Russell Wilson's getting the start now. I do see some people looking to play him. He is coming off a really good first start. So I'm looking at Russell as a hero start, boom or bust. More likely to bust than boom, but he is on the hero boom or bust list this week for me. Najee Harris coming off his best game of the season. I see him as a floor start. He'll get enough work to definitely give you a good floor. I don't know if he'll be able to boom against this pretty good Giants defense. George Pickens, another hero start, boom or bust. Just catching those go balls, 50-50 balls, tip balls, all that wild stuff that he's doing. I like him as a hero start in week 8. Van Jefferson, you can't play him. He's an absolute risky start. Keep him on the bench, keep him in the free agency. And tight end Pat Freiermuth, the Muth. Now, he hasn't really produced. I'm really worried about him. I see him as a sleeper start this week, however. Don't love the Giants necessarily in the interior. I think Muth might be able to catch a couple those seam routes, maybe take one to the house. I like him as a sleeper start. Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for following up with us in Season 2. So excited to get things rolling. Once again, follow our fantasy season. I'm going to give you guys an up-close and personal look. Give me your ideas. So let's stay interactive. Let me know what you think. I'll definitely be interactive, responding to all your comments. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Give us a like, and you can give us a follow at Souljash Sports. Thank you, peace, love, and let's continue to smoke the competition.
Deep into the eyes, read them like a book. Trapped inside a prison, gotta free them like a crook. Make off with the loot, made off for the joke. Treated like these cowards never needed what we took, and we repeat it like a hook. Caught in the deep, come back like Wheezy. Card 3, sensation. Wait, then pause the beat. Eyes don't lie, truth.